Hello everyone and welcome to Questline, and to the first video of my new segment called
Face Your Fear.
Of course not in that voice, but because that would be weird. But the point is, this is a segment about fear and facing fear. In today's video, I won't lie, this is going to be a difficult one, because this isn't a story about conquering anything. This is about a night that broke me, a night that shook me to my core. A night that reminded me that fear doesn't care how old you are, how strong you pretend to be, or how much responsibility you carry. Fear comes for all of us, and sometimes fear wins, at least for a moment. But this is also a story about something else, a vision, a lesson, about what God showed me when I asked Him in desperation, what do I do? This is the story of the nightmare that nearly destroyed me, and the message that helped me stand back up. The questions asked in this video have been put together by my ChatGPT Sophia to guide the story, and if you could please give a like, subscribe on the way in, I would be most grateful. And with that said, cue disclaimer. My ongoing battle with nightmares began around when I was 14 years old in year 8. That was during the time I was being bullied, worn down, anxious and afraid. And the dreams I had were always built around the same themes: running from monsters, hiding from monsters, or fighting something trying to destroy me or eat me. These dreams varied, different dreams yet same patterns. A familiar darkness that never left me. Sometimes the monster was a creature. Sometimes it was a person or people with monstrous intent. Sometimes I was falling. And always I would wake up just before I died in the dream. As a kid, you don't think about the meaning behind these dreams. You panic for a moment and move on. But as I got older, the nightmares didn't stop. They changed. They became stronger and more vivid, and also more violent. And unlike when I was young, waking up now triggers something far worse: my panic attacks, or the beginning of them. I think part of that is due to age. When you're younger, you fear the monsters, but when you're older, you fear death. It's a different weight entirely, comparing the two. And for me, that fear hit its peak on the night I'm about to talk about. That night started with something stupid as food. I'd eaten a Chicago town pizza around 4 p.m. One of those deep pan types, a 4-cheese and a meaty one. I figured 6 hours would be plenty of time for my body to break it down. But around midnight, I woke up with this horrid bloated feeling. I thought I was going to throw up. So I went downstairs and tried to force myself to be sick, even sticking fingers down my throat to force a gag reflex. But nothing happened. It wasn't food poisoning. It wasn't nausea. It was just discomfort that I couldn't get to shift. And something deeper was going on inside me. When I finally went back to bed, that was when it hit. The nightmare. One of the most vivid nightmares, if I might add. I dreamt I was in a place that I didn't want to be in, on some kind of mission with a team, and a man followed me into the men's room with a bag, like a tool bag. I looked at this man and became frightened, but the way he looked at me, and asked him straight, "Are you here to destroy me?" And he said yes. He had a block of wood with the nail sticking out of it. I walked towards a cubicle as a means of going to the bathroom, and he waited. But then, as he waited, a family came inside the men's room, and the man became distracted. He couldn't destroy me in front of this family. He couldn't do what he needed to do while they were there. And there in his bag, I saw a block of wood with a large nail sticking out of it. And in the dream, in a moment of desperation, while the man was distracted by the family, by the urinals, I took the bit of wood from his bag and struck the man in the head repeatedly, again and again. Blood spewed from his head, but he didn't fall. The man just stood there, as if frozen, stunned, and the boy watched me do it. The family in the bathroom didn't react. Nothing made sense. It was horrifying. Eventually the man collapsed on the ground, and I dragged his body on the toilet seat in the cubicle and prayed for his soul over his body. But then, as I was about to leave, my boss saw what had happened. The blood, the body of the man who tried to destroy me, and he was horrified by what I'd done. And then I said, I did what I had to do. That was when I woke up, drenched in terror, my heart alive with adrenaline, and my mind refusing to shut down. I was on high alert. I felt like I'd been thrown into a war and dragged me back out with no explanation. Both. The dream terrified me, yes, but what came after frightened me even more. Because when I woke up, my mind wouldn't switch off to go back to sleep. My body was exhausted, but my brain was firing on all cylinders. Every sound in the room felt amplified. The air filter, my wife's hairdryer downstairs, even the quiet background music that I normally fall asleep to. It felt like my senses were exploding. I tried to calm myself down. I sat up, closed my eyes, and held my prayer beads between my fingers, and repeated, I'm alive, I'm healthy, and I'm safe. 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 But when your body is tired, and your mind is active with adrenaline, those words I used in my mantra felt like they were fighting in a storm. I couldn't rest, and I couldn't sleep. I couldn't shut my eyes without fearing I would fall back into that nightmare the moment I closed my eyes, or something worse. And then the real fear sets in. What if this is my future? What if this is my adulthood from now on? What if my nights from now on are endless nightmares, so terrifying that I could no longer sleep, or afraid to sleep? And what if my heart gives out one day because of these nightmares I was having? There is nothing quite like the fear of dying alone in your room while everyone is asleep unaware. And that thought hit me harder than the nightmare did itself. At my lowest moment that night, while closing my eyes and praying, I asked God, tell me what to do. And then I saw something crystal clear, something symbolic, something powerful. I saw one of my big water flasks, the 1.7 litre with the flip lid and the silicone straw. It was full of water and the lid was open. And inside, floating on top, was one large cube of ice, slowly melting away into the water. No chaos, no drama, just dissolving and fading with time. And immediately, I felt like I understood what it meant. Let go. Let it melt. Let it fade. Let what needs to evaporate, evaporate. Because in reality, if you leave ice in a cup at room temperature, it melts. And if you leave that water long enough, even the water itself evaporates. Everything passes, everything fades, everything transforms. To me, God was showing me a lesson about change, that the person I used to be, the fears, the traumatic events, the addictions, patterns, and habits can all melt away over time. If I stop clinging to it, if I stop panicking in the moment of transformation. The melting ice was my old self dissolving. The evaporating water was the fear losing its power. It was a message. This will fade, and you must let it. And that moment hit me deeply, because I'd never experienced anything like it. When I walked into work that morning, I was exhausted, terrified, barely holding myself together. As I walked into the shop, I stood in front of the chief, and before I broke down, I asked him, "Chief, may I ask permission? Will you permit me to be weak for a moment?" He allowed me to, and then I wept and cried uncontrollably. Not out of shame, not out of embarrassment, but because I'd finally hit a wall. I realized in that moment that I couldn't keep doing this alone. I couldn't keep trying to outrun the nightmares. I couldn't keep pretending I could exercise my way out of it, or eat clean my way out of it, or discipline myself out of it. There is more going on in me than I can solve by myself, and that's when I finally made a decision to see a doctor. Not because I was weak, but because I've reached my limit and I needed guidance. Because I didn't want to become dependent. I didn't want to rely on drugs just to function. I didn't want to lose my autonomy. I didn't want my life to become something that only works with a pill. But in the end, I had to be honest with myself. This wasn't about dependency. This was about stabilizing myself long enough to understand what was happening. Medication isn't the solution. It's a temporary bridge while I walk towards a solution. And that mindset helped me accept it, not as a crutch, but as a tool to help me sleep safely while we search for answers. It means I have to live deliberately, with intention, not by accident, not by habit, and not by automatic pilot. As I approach 40, I can't afford to live carelessly anymore. I want discipline in my mind, my body, and my spirit. I want to build a life that honors my son, and I want to look after myself before it's too late. I want to sleep on time, eat wisely, train consistently, learn my rhythms, and understand my body. I want to break old patterns, the food addictions, the late nights, the chaotic routines, and replace them with something stable, something healthy, and something mature. I believe that if I practice this long enough, by the time I reach 40, these new habits that I'm trying to implement will become instinctual, not forced, not exhausting, just a part of who I am and who I've chosen to become. And that aligns with the promise I made to my son, to live well, to live with intention, and to live with purpose, because a promise is a promise. Living with intention is not optional for me. It is part of honoring my son. It is part of what it means to live well. It is part of keeping my word between father and son. It is part of refusing to let my old patterns dictate my future. The ice melting wasn't just comfort, it was an instruction. Let go. Let the old self go. Let the old self dissolve. Let the fear evaporate, and let the transformation happen. And trust that God and the universe are guiding me through the process. That fight didn't end with this video. This isn't about closure. This isn't about victory. It is about awareness. It is about honesty. It is the beginning of a deeper fight, a more intentional fight. I still have nightmares. I still struggle with fear, and I still have battles ahead of me, but I'm no longer pretending I can do it alone. I'm no longer ashamed of needing support. I'm no longer hiding behind pride and stoicism. This is a lifelong journey, and I am committing to it fully. If you're watching this and you are fighting your own nights, I want you to know something. My battle isn't finished, not even close. This video isn't the end of the story. This isn't a tale where I conquer fear and walk away triumphant. This is something I am still going through right now, every day and every night. But I am learning, I'm growing, and I'm adapting. And you need to know this. You are not alone. Your nightmares, your fears, your shadows and your struggles, whatever you're fighting, the fight itself unites us. We stand together in that. Our stories may differ, but our journey is shared. Trying to do better, trying to be better, trying to make intentional choices to protect our future, and trying to live well. And as long as you keep choosing that path, imperfectly, awkward and painful, you will persevere. Not because life gets easier, but because you will grow stronger. Inside all of us is a spark, a fire that refuses to go out, no matter how dark the night feels. That fire is your will, your courage and your humanity. And as long as you choose intention to seek help, to care for your body, to face your fears, and to keep walking forward, the fire will never be extinguished. The fight is hard, I know that. I'm living it. But hard does not mean impossible. You are not alone. I'm not alone. But as long as we keep choosing to rise, and even when it's messy, even when it's frightening, even when it feels like you're drowning, we will endure, we will grow, and we will live well together. Well, that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If this story resonates with you, if you're fighting your own battles, or if you're trying to live with intention, let me know in the comments below. We're not here to judge each other. We're here to understand each other. And on the way out, leave a like and subscribe. Until the next time we meet, stay strong, stay curious, and keep forging your quest line. Wishing you all well and good health. Take care. And cut, that's a wrap.